We are going to install the Windows wallet. So what you want to do is go down into the comments section. You'll see all these links I have here, and we're going to want to go to the Rabbit Core GitHub site to download the Windows wallet. Once we get here, we're going to download the wallet for the particular version, the operating system that we're running. And right now I'm running a Windows 64. So I will download this, and I'm going to save it onto the desktop. And what you're going to want to do is extract this file you just downloaded to a permanent location. This is basically installing this wallet. These wallets are just plain old executables. So you're going to want to extract it to a permanent location, and that's about the same as installing it as you in the normal sense. So what you want to do is just go to extract all, and then you're going to want to choose a permanent location. I'm not going to choose the desktop because I don't want to clutter my desktop. I'm going to put this in the program files directory just with all the rest of my programs on the computer. So C drive program files, and I'm going to say select this folder, and then I'm going to choose a new folder. Just call it Rabbit. We're going to extract it to there. And there was a checkbox that was on that screen, and I left that checked so it would automatically open this folder for me. And now what I'm going to do is open that Rabbit core, and then I'm going to send a shortcut onto the desktop for this rabbit.qt. This is the actual wallet that you want to run. So if you right click that, you say send to desktop, and that just creates a shortcut on your desktop. So now you can, whenever you want to run the wallet, you'll just double click this shortcut here, and you can put the shortcut wherever is convenient for you. One thing I also need to do, since I'm running this on a Windows server that's in a secure mode, I have to come in here and unblock this type of program. This happens on any program that I download from the internet, so you may not have to do this step, but if you are in a super secure system, you can try this. So you right click the executable, and you come down here and you do unblock. You probably don't need to do that. I just need to do it on these servers that I run this on. So first thing you want to do is run the Rabbit wallet, and the first time you run it, it's going to ask you a couple questions. First one is, where do you want to install the data directory? Just leave it as default. This is a simple place to put it, and if anyone ever needs to help you, they will know where it's installed, so just leave it as default. We'll hit OK. And now it says it is synchronizing with the network. This may take a few minutes. What you can do to make sure it's not stuck and make sure it's progressing is you just kind of hover over this, and it'll give you a indication of where it's at. And it says process 300 blocks. So as long as that number is moving under the blocks, then you're synchronizing the wallet. One other way to check is you go into help, tools, debug console, and then go to this information tab, and this will tell you the number of connections you have and the current block you're on. And you see this number is increasing. As long as this is increasing, you're downloading the blockchain. If this number gets stuck for say 10 minutes or something, you might want to go onto the Discord channel and ask if anyone has any suggestions on what to do. But as long as this is moving, you're downloading. It might take an hour, sometimes it takes 5 minutes. It just depends your connection speed and the number of connections out there in the network. But this looks like it's going good. I'm just going to let this run its course. And the first thing we want to do in here is create a couple addresses for our wallet. And to create those, we go to File, Receiving Addresses. You're going to have one address already. This is just the first address you get when you install the wallet. I'm going to rename this wallet, so I'm going to go to Edit, and this will edit the label for the address. And this is just a friendly name for the address. No one else sees this name, only you do. It's just a way you can give a name to this address here in your wallet. So I'm going to call this from presale. So what I'm going to do in a later step is I'm going to purchase some coins, and when I purchase those coins, I'm going to tell the person I purchased them from to send them to this address. And that's what this address is for, is just to collect the coins. I'm going to create one more address, and I'll hit the new button. And this new address I'm going to call is just, this is going to be my masternode collateral address. So I'm going to give it a label of masternode1 or mn1. And once I've collected all my coins from wherever I'm purchasing them from, or mining them, or however I'm getting all my coins, I'm going to collect them sort of on this presale or whatever addresses. And then when I'm ready to set up my masternode, I'm going to send the exact amount of coins to this mn1 address. So that's what this second address is for. Right now we only need 2 because I'm going to purchase a bunch of coins and I'm going to send them here. And then when we're ready to set up the masternode, I'm going to deposit, or I'm going to transfer those coins onto this mn1. So these are the only addresses we needed now. Now that we have a couple addresses, it looks like, let's see where this chain is at. So it's saying synchronize masternode payments, up to date. Up to date means the blockchain is up to date, and it's just doing some masternode synchronization. So this wallet really is good for the blockchain. It just needs to do some masternode stuff. So what I want to do now is, before I get into any other steps, is the first thing I want to do is I want to come in here and I want to go to Settings, Encrypt Wallet. This will put a password on my wallet. So if somebody gets access to my computer and opens my wallet, they can't send coins. As long as I have the address locked, it will require a password for someone to unlock it and send the coins somewhere. So I'm going to put a passphrase on this. And you don't want to lose this passphrase, and you want to make it complex. I'm going to make a very, very simple one, but you don't want to do that. You want to make a complex password, and you want to remember that. If you encrypt your wallet and you lose your passphrase, you will not be able to get access to your coins. So make sure you remember what this password is. So I made that passphrase. Hit OK. It's going to say, warning, if you lose it, you're going to lose all your coins. All right, I'm OK with that. And then now it says to finish it, it wants to restart. Just hit OK. It'll close it down. It won't reopen it, so once it's closed down, give it a few seconds to actually close. Sometimes it takes a minute. Then open it back up. And now what you can see is this wallet icon, or this lock icon, has been locked. That tells you your wallet is locked. So it is encrypted, but it's also locked. Encrypted and locked are two different things. Encrypted just means there's a password on it. Locked means it's locked from anyone being able to use it. To unlock the wallet, you need to have that passphrase or that password. But those are two different things. You can have an encrypted wallet and it's unlocked, or it can be encrypted and locked. It's really locked and unlocked is what you do with the password. Encrypted means you have a password on it. So now we do have an encrypted wallet. What I want to do is I want to make a backup of this wallet. So this, before we start doing anything, we always want to encrypt it and then make a backup. So if you go under File, Backup Wallet, choose a location. I'm just going to put it on the desktop, and I am just going to give it a real quick name, which is the name of the coin. This is usually what I do with all my backups. Is give it the name of the coin and then a date. And then wallet.dat. That way I know it's a wallet.dat file. This is the normal name is just wallet.dat. So now I know the coin and the date. I'm going to put this on the desktop. We'll hit save, and you'll see it has created that file here. What you'll want to do is make a backup of this file somewhere off of this machine you're installing on. So like on a thumb drive or something. Because if you have all your backups on the same machine, you have your wallet. If your computer crashes and you lose your wallet and you lose your backups, you can't get back to them. You can't restore those coins. They're gone. So make sure you store this backup in a safe place. And I always put in encryption. I always encrypt the wallet before I make these backups. Because if you make a backup and you don't encrypt it, and someone gets access to that backup, like that thumb drive, if they take your thumb drive, then they can get to your coins also. So you always want to make sure you encrypt it and then make your backup, and that's what you're storing is your backups. And you don't want to store your backups and the password to those backups in the same location. So usually what I do is I throw these backups, the DAT files, onto a thumb drive and I put them in my safe, but then I put the password in a different location. I don't keep the passwords and the safe, and the thumb drive in the same safe. I keep them in different locations. So we do now have an encrypted wallet. We've made a backup. So we basically installed this wallet and we're ready to go on to the next step, which is going and purchasing coins from wherever, an exchange or mining coins or a pre-sale. And whenever you get those coins, what you're going to do is to get your coins sent to your wallet, you come into File, Receiving Addresses, and then you choose the address that you created. In this case, we called it pre-sale. So you right click it and you just say copy address, and then you give that address to whoever you purchased the coins from, or you put that into your mining software. That's where you're going to mine the coins to. Or when you're in an exchange and you want to send them to your wallet, you send them to that address. So what I'm going to do now is go out and get some coins, and then I will be back in a minute and we will move on to the next step. Alright, so now I have just purchased 1001 coins and sent them to my wallet here. And the reason I chose 1001 is because you need a little bit of extra. The collateral for Rabbit is 1000 coins, but you need a little bit extra to make a transaction. So what you'll want to do is when you purchase them, you're going to want 1001 or 1000.5 or 1000.25. You just need a little bit more so you can send some transactions. So we've collected our coins onto this from pre-sale address. So what we want to do now is we want to send those coins to our masternode collateral address. So if you go into File, Receiving Addresses, you want to right click the masternode 1, say copy address, and this is go to the send tab and then pay to. You're going to pay to your masternode 1 and it auto populates a label because it is in my address book. We're going to send exactly 1000 coins. And when you send those 1000 coins, it's going to subtract 0.0002 from your balance in your wallet. My balance in my wallet is 1001 coins. So this is why we're good. If I had sent myself exactly 1000 coins, when I did this transfer to my masternode collateral address, I would have less than 1000 coins because I need to pay this transaction fee. So you always want to send this tiny little bit extra, and it's simple just to do the one extra coin. But you don't need a whole one. You can do 0.1 or 0.5, but I would just go with one extra coin. So now you have this transaction you're ready to do. You're going to pay to your masternode 1000 coins, and you'll just hit send. And now it's asking you to unlock the wallet because I had it locked. So we will do that. And then it wants to confirm, saying, are you sure you really want to send 1000? There's going to be a transaction fee that's added. And this all looks good. Just hit yes. And then, once it's done, you can come over here to Transactions tab. And you can see that first transaction I had was from presale. The second transaction was me paying myself 1000 coins. So when you send yourself coins within your wallet, the amount will not show the actual amount you sent because you didn't send any coins outside your wallet. The amount will only show that transaction fee that you paid. So if you want to double click that, you can see the amount that I sent. I sent 1000 coins to myself. So this transaction here, we're going to need to wait until this has 16 confirmations. Right now it's still unconfirmed. If you just hover over it, it'll tell you that. So what we need to do is wait until there's 16 confirmations on this transaction. Once there's 16, that transaction is considered good and usable for a masternode. So what we're going to do now is just kind of move on to the next step, because while we wait for that those 16 confirmations, we can move on to the next step. So what we have just done is completed our collateral transaction, and that's where you have sent yourself the collateral coins to run the masternode. So in this case, we sent ourselves 1000 coins in one single transaction. It has to be exactly 1000, and that transaction is called your collateral transaction. And right now you see there's an extra transaction on my screen that wasn't there a second ago. Just ignore that. But what you want to do is you want to hover over the transaction that you have just sent yourself 1000 coins with and check how many confirmations. Right now I have 17 confirmations. You're going to want to wait until you have at least 16. If you don't have 16 yet, then you're just going to wait a little bit longer. Once you have 16, you can enable that masternode so we can move on to the next step. And the next step would be to open our wallet configuration file. So you're going to see there's already some information in that file. What you want to do is add some extra information, and down in the comments I have this section here. You can just copy the entire section and overwrite what's already there. And the information you're going to want to put here in this file is, the first one is everything in these square brackets. So the first one's rpcuser. What you're going to want to put there is going to be an actual username and password. You don't have to remember what this username and password is, but you want to make sure the username and password are different. The username and the password can't be the same. They have to be different values. And you want to put a legitimate username and password. Don't do something simple like what I just did. You just want to make sure they're a real username and password. You don't need to remember what they are. They're only used by the back-end jobs here in the system. The next piece of info you want to put is your IP address. And to get your IP address, you can just search Google for it. So if you open up Google, type "what is my IP," you will get your IP address. And here it is. I will highlight it and copy it. We'll put it there. And this last piece is masternode private key value. To get the masternode private key value, you're going to want to go back into your wallet and go to Tools, Debug menu, and on the Console tab here, you're going to type in this box masternode genkey. And this will give you your masternode private key value. So you double click that, copy it, put it into your masternode genkey, and this looks good. We will save this and exit. And the next thing we need to do is set up our masternode configuration file. So leave this console up because we're going to need it. So go to Tools, Open Masternode configuration file, and in here you're going to put this value that I have in the comments also. Highlight that entire thing and paste it in here. And the information we have is, the first one is your masternode alias. This is just a friendly name you're going to give your masternode so you can distinguish it from the other masternodes in case you're running multiple masternodes. So this really doesn't matter, but I always just choose masternode 1, and then when I add a second one I do masternode 2, and so on. The next thing is your IP address, which you get from Google if you don't know it. And then a colon, and then the port 1128. And then the masternode gen key value, that's the value in your debug console that we just generated a second ago. And then the last two pieces are our masternode outputs transaction ID and masternode outputs 10. So back in your debug console, you want to type masternode outputs and hit enter, and it's going to give you two pieces of information. Your transaction ID, this is the transaction ID of your collateral transaction. So you could have looked it up a different way, but you can't, well, I don't know how to look up this other value. So you want to just run it in this window. So that's your transaction ID. If you copy that, you put it here in the masternode outputs transaction ID, and then this masternode's outputs 10 value. That's going to be this last number out here in your console after you did masternode outputs. It's either going to be a 1 or a 0. In this case it's a 1, so I'm going to come out here and I'm going to just type 1. So this masternode configuration file looks good. We have the alias, our IP address, colon, port, masternode gen key value, our masternode outputs transaction ID, and our masternode outputs transaction index. This looks good. You hit File, Save, File, Exit. We don't need this debug window anymore. And in your wallet, we need to restart the wallet for it to read that configuration, both of those configuration files that we just set up. But before I restart it, I'm noticing that the masternodes tab is not visible. To enable that masternodes tab, we're going to have to change a option, but it's going to require a restart. So since we need to restart the wallet anyway, I'm going to do that right now. So go to Tools, or Settings, Options. Under Wallets, you're going to want to say Show Masternodes tab. And I would also enable this coin control features. You may need this in the future, and since you're in here anyway, just enable it. And it says this requires a restart. So you hit OK, go to File, Exit, let it shut it down, so just wait a minute. I always like to give it a couple extra seconds to make sure it actually did shut down. Then you just open up the wallet again. And this time what we're going to do is we're going to let this bottom section here complete its synchronization. Right now it's synchronizing the blockchain. In a minute it's going to synchronize the masternodes and the masternode and some other masternode information. But before we go to the new masternode tab that we just enabled, I like to let this sync up with the network. That way we don't mess around in the tab if it doesn't know all the masternodes out there. So what I'm going to do is just sit here and wait a minute until this is all done synchronizing. Once this block down here disappears, we'll move on to the next section. And I'll fast forward it through this part because this might take a couple minutes. Alright, so that has finished synchronizing. Now what we can do is come over here to the masternodes tab, and you can see now the masternode that we just put in the configuration file is here. And it says missing, which is perfectly fine. We just haven't enabled the masternode yet. And what we can do now is enable the masternode, but before we do that, I see that we have the wallet locked. What we're going to want to do is go to Settings, Unlock Wallet. You can try to enable the masternode while it's locked. It'll just warn you that, or it'll kick out an error saying I can't unlock it, or I can't enable it while it's locked. So now we got the unlock symbol, so we're good. So now what we can do is highlight that row. You can choose Start Alias, you can choose Start All since we only have one, and you can say Start Missing, which is the only one we have is missing. If you had a bunch of masternodes in here, and if you only wanted to start one, you could highlight the one you want. Or if you have a bunch in here and there's 3 or 4 that are missing, you can say Start Missing, it'll start up all the missing ones. In this case, we only have one. Highlight that, hit Start Alias. Are you sure? You hit Yes, and successfully started masternode. And the masternode has moved to enabled. So this looks good. We can hit this update status and make sure it really was enabled, but it wasn't. It tricked us. It's gone to pre-enabled, and pre-enabled just means your masternode is communicating out on the network, telling the other masternodes that it's here. It usually sits in this state for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. You know, I've seen it sit here for an hour before. It just depends how the network is. So it looks to me like this masternode is set up and running, but you want to make sure this does move to enabled. So you want to give it an hour, come back and check it again. This will automatically refresh the screen, or you can hit this update status button to refresh it right away. So what we want to do now is just kind of wait until this moves to enabled. But one thing we can do while we're waiting for it to move to enabled is we can do a double check to make sure the network can see our masternode. You know, right now it's communicating with the network, but we can do a quick check out on the Block Explorer. So if you open up Windows Explorer, or whatever, Firefox is usually what I use, but this says Explorer. I did provide a link down here to the Block Explorer. So you want to go to the Rabbit Block Explorer. And something the Block Explorer will show you is all the masternodes running on the network. So you get here, you click this masternodes tab, and this will display all the masternodes out on the network. What we want to do is search for our masternode, and the way to find our masternode is you search by this payee ID, and we see it's RDGPQ. So capital R, capital D, lowercase g. What we can do in here is we can do a quick search, and you can see this is, you can double check, but that is the same address that we're looking at. Can't move it on the screen very well. RDGPQBB. RDGPQBB. So you can see our status is pre-enabled. It is showing that this masternode out there is pre-enabled. This is a very good indication that your masternode is actually communicating on the network. So this pre-enabled status, I have no fear that this is going to move to enabled here in the next half an hour to an hour. So what you want to do now is just sit back and let it communicate out there. Usually what I'll do is I'll let it run overnight before I get concerned that it's not actually out there visible or it's not set up correctly. If you don't have any rewards after it runs, say overnight, it's like 8 hours or something like that, 8 to 12 hours, then you might want to go onto the Discord and, ask some people what could be happening and you haven't gotten a reward. Sometimes they might say to wait 12 hours or even up to 24 hours. But if you don't have anything right now, since there's very few master nodes, it should move to enabled and you should be getting rewards within, I would say, at least 12 hours. But sometimes it does take a while. I've seen it, even on a small network like this, I've seen it take 6 to 7 hours or 8 hours. So I wouldn't be concerned until after about 12 hours. Maybe then check with Discord, and people might just say wait 24. So that's sort of up to you. But this is a very good sign that the network can see my master node. I don't have any fear that this is going to show up. So now what you do is you just leave your master node in your wallet running. Your master node will only be running in this setup when this wallet is running. If this wallet turns off, your master node is not running. And if you do have to shut down this wallet or your computer reboots for whatever reason, once it comes back up, make sure you unlock your wallet, come back here to the master nodes tab, highlight that and just hit start alias. It should start back up. You don't want to be shutting this off and turning it on often, because this pre-enabled state, while it's in this pre-enabled state, you're not getting rewards, so you don't really want it to be in this, many times a day. It doesn't hurt, but you just won't get as many rewards. So it looks like this master node is all set up and you're good to go.